Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a sports betting perspective, with pro handicappers Alex B. Smith and veteran sports writer Jimmy Murphy. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Monday, January 31st, the end of January here. February begins tomorrow, and we have 3 days of NHL action left before the All-Star break. So we're coming down to the crunch here of the end of the first half of the season. Just from a programming standpoint, by the way, Alex B. Smith with me right now, back after the weekend, ready to break down the Monday card. We do want to mention a few programming notes. We will have 3 more shows this week for the Ice Guys: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Of course, there are games all 3 days this week. Then we will be off Thursday through Sunday, so 4 days without shows as we take some much-needed R&R, actually, a little rest, a little relaxation, get away from doing the show every single day for at least a few days. That'll be nice. And we'll be back with you next Monday, February the 7th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time with our first show following the All-Star break. And also, our first live Betcast of the season. I know people have been anxious for this. I've been getting messages, emails, DMs saying, Ian, when's the first Ice Guys Betcast? We've been waiting long enough. Well, wait no longer. The first live Betcast of the season coming up tomorrow night, Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern is when we're going to start, right just before the puck drop of the first games on the Tuesday slate. Feel free to join us. We will send StreamYard links. Buddy. Interested in joining us live on the stream tomorrow night. We're excited about that. So DM me, Alex, Andrew, Jimmy, anybody, the Ice Guys Twitter, @_Ice Guys. If you want to join us on the Betcast tomorrow night and get a StreamYard link invitation, just contact any one of us and we'll make sure we send one and we'll get you on at least for a portion of the show. Again, I think there's like a 10-person capacity on these streams. So, if we hit 10, we're going to have to be bouncing people in and out. So we give everybody a chance, everybody a fair shake. So we're looking forward to that tomorrow night. No question. Our first Ice Guys Betcast of the season. Certainly from my standpoint and Alex's standpoint, you're talking to some grizzled vets in the sports betting and the hockey betting industry now. You're talking 10 plus years now. We've been doing this every single day. You're going to get a chance, firsthand look to see how we do things from a live betting standpoint tomorrow night, what we look for, how we time it in terms of pulling the trigger on our live bets, specifically with those first period overs. I know everyone's excited to see Alex put his theory in motion in live stream form tomorrow night, waiting these first 5-6 minutes, looking to get a better number on a first period bet, specifically a first period over. So we're looking forward to that Betcast tomorrow night, aren't we, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, I'll definitely be on throughout that first period. I think we got most of the games, which is really interesting with the NHL lately. A lot of these games are actually going to start at the, it's the 6 o'clock hour. So, 7 o'clock Eastern time. So there'll be a lot to digest right off the jump with at least about 5 or 6 games going.
Oh, yeah, there are a ton. And a lot of them are early. And we've got some really good matchups as well. We've got the Capitals and the Penguins. Doesn't get any better than that. That rivalry, it's always fun to see it. The Rangers and the Panthers is an outstanding game tomorrow night in the early slate. Some Tampa Bay's in action. The Leafs are in action. The Flyers are in action. Okay, I'm kidding. I can't really throw them in the pile. But hey, they did win on Saturday against the LA Kings. Before we get into Monday's card, Alex, some thoughts on the weekend, Saturday's games, yesterday's games, anything stuck out? How did the weekend go in terms of on the NHL?
I got to talk about what I posted yesterday on Twitter. For those of you, if you haven't seen it, and follow me on Twitter, AX Smith Sports, I posted a ticket. It was a winning ticket of the second period under in the Boston-Dallas game. And yes, it was 12.5 plus $1.40. Now, obviously, that was a horrible number and there was a typo. It was eventually corrected. This was over at MyBookie. And it's funny because I don't even use this book that often to play period totals. I actually use this book more for football. But I always tell people, just take a gander at things and always look at, obviously you want to cross-check lines with whatever other books you have. And just kind of just look at numbers sometimes, because I just happen to scroll down, and I like the first period over in that game. I hit that as well. But I just happen to scroll down and I see this, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, this isn't the 1.5 mark. This is a 12. And I click on it, and it still like came up, confirm bet and everything. And I didn't hammer it. I didn't empty my account on it because I thought, okay, that would be the red flag of them to void the bet. I was waiting all day to get an email saying that this bet was going to be voided. And it wasn't. And sure enough, even though there were 2 goals in the second period, I cashed my under 12.5, probably the easiest bet I'll cash in my entire life. And so it worked out just fine. But you got to always pay attention. That's why we always talk about that. Just double check and triple check things, because conversely, you could have put in what you thought was going to be just a regular number, and it ends up being some kind of error, and that could work against you in your favor sometimes. So just always pay attention.
Yeah, I'm absolutely stunned they paid it out, Alex. I'll be
Yeah.
quite honest. I'm
I am.
totally shocked by that.
Yeah.
Shocked, as I would say. Can't believe it. Because every time I see a mistake by a sports book on a prop bet or a side
Mhm.
total, whatever, I always say, you know what? They're eventually going to see it's an error. And even if it does, obviously, if they do say, hey, you bet it at under 12.5, you should honor it. Eventually,
Right.
they'll say, wait a minute, human error, mistake, and you'll just get
Yeah.
your bet voided and refunded to you.
Yeah,
I've
like I
never
said.
actually seen them pay it out. That's why I never usually get my hopes up when I see that. And I say, blah, let's pile in and put the mortgage on under 12.5 here, because I'm always convinced the books are going to realize the mistake and eventually refund it. And that's the way it's been for me every single time when I've tried to take advantage of a mistake. The fact that you paid it out, Alex, it really does shock me.
It shocked me as well. I'm grateful for it, obviously, and it's funny because I mentioned, I posted it to you guys first in our Twitter chat. We have our little chat, and I said, if you have a MyBookie account, grab this as soon as you can. And I think it was like 3 minutes later, like Jimmy looked it up and was like, yeah, they had already reset it back to where it was. So, like I said, just a human error, and I guess I don't know if my bet was the one that triggered it. I'd love to know how many people actually were able to get down on that number. But like I said, just one of those, we always have great gambling stories. That's one I'll definitely be able to remember for a while. And think about that. One day I was just laying in bed, and all of a sudden they got under 12.5 in a hockey game.
It's gonna be one of those ones. Yeah, 20 years from now, you can tell it to anybody that, hey, 20 years ago this happened. I bet under 12.5 goals in this game, and they actually honored the bet and paid it out.
Yeah.
You rarely ever see that. So good stuff there, Alex. Glad you at least got to take advantage of that, and they actually did pay you for it. Way to go there. Hopefully they don't take it back. Good point, Alan. Hopefully they do not take it back.
So far, so good. It's still there. So
Very good. All right. Awesome stuff. No doubt about that. In terms of yesterday, look, the show was very good. By the way, shout out to Rinus Vitalins, our guest. He joined us both days over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and did a great job. Shout out to you, Vito, and I see you in the chat. Great work this weekend on the Ice Guys, joining us on the show. And yesterday was a good day for me. I mean, just an outstanding day overall. I think we lost with the Penguins team total over, and we lost with the Carolina San Jose over. Other than that, though, Rangers in regulation. Wow, what a thriller. That game was 2-1 range. To be honest with you, they were badly outshot, badly outplayed by the Kraken. It was another Igor Shesterkin masterpiece for the New York Rangers. Sure enough, the Kraken tie the game 2-2 in the third period, and Keandre Miller with a wrist shot right off a face-off, just over 30 seconds left to give the Rangers a 3-2 lead and an eventual 3-2 win. Salvation and a save for my regulation play there on the Rangers, thanks to that late goal for Keandre Miller in that game. I took Dallas as a home dog against Boston. That worked out well. I said they'll probably bounce back and be ticked off after getting embarrassed by Washington at home. And do we really trust Boston? Third road game on this West Coast trip, against what could be a pretty focused, agitated, and certainly fired up Dallas team, and that's exactly what we saw. I also had the first period over. I mentioned the first period over trends with both Boston and Dallas recently had been very strong, and Alex had that as well as one of his plays yesterday. And I said that's an Alex B special. I don't bet a lot of first period overs, but that one stuck out because we've seen trends of Boston games and Dallas games having goals in bunches in the opening period and then slowing down later in the game. Still got there if you took the full game over. But you did have to sweat that still a little bit. There was no sweat whatsoever with the first period over for sure in that Bruins Stars game. What else did we have yesterday? There's one I'm forgetting there. Oh, yeah, of course. The best bet. Columbus, Montreal over the total. It couldn't have been any easier. That's just they're two dead nuts over teams, Columbus and Montreal. Montreal just can't keep the puck out of their own net. It's a horrendous defense. It's goaltending that's not good enough to overcome the defensive miscues that go on in front of them, whether it's Montembeault, whether it's Primo. They're just having all kinds of issues right now in terms of keeping the puck out of their own net. And Columbus is no New Jersey Devils of the 90s by any stretch of the imagination. So definitely not a surprise to see goals there. Minnesota, that's the one I missed. Of course, Terry would remind me of that. Of course. Look, I said that yesterday. The Islanders have beaten nobody but Sisters of the Poor for the better part of the last month. I mean, we're going to get all excited for 3 wins against Philly and a win against Arizona and a win against New Jersey for this Islanders. And I like the Islanders. I hate bashing them. They've been good to me in the past. They've been deep into the playoffs the last 2 years. But I'm telling you, they have not beaten a quality team going back to December 30th. The best win is Edmonton. And Teddy Covers, who, of course, we all know, said this to me years ago. It's not always who you play, it's when you play them. So you're going to look at the Islanders beating Edmonton and you're going to say, wow, what are you talking about, Ian? That's a great win for the Islanders. They beat Edmonton, since December 30th. But they played Edmonton when Edmonton was a shit show. Their season was careening off a cliff at the time. They were in the throes of that horrendous losing streak. So I don't make as big of I don't say that's a quality win at the time because the Oilers just were awful at the time the Islanders beat them. So that's why I think the Islanders still have not beaten anybody good here in the calendar year, and it continued last night. They lose to the Minnesota Wild in that game. We got Andrew McInnis with us. We've missed Andrew. He's been away over the weekend, but back with us now. Andrew, how was your weekend? And great to have you back.
It's great to be here. I had a nice chat on Twitter with our guest, I guess your guest that you had over the weekend, Ian. I look forward to hopefully being on with you guys sometime when we have him back. Pretty good weekend overall. Saturday I went Splitsville, which is, not great, not bad, I guess. But the good news is kind of the bad days I've been having recently have been just like that, so I'll take that, I guess. But it's funny. I've got a buddy of mine, guys. He doesn't bet hockey that much, not really a huge hockey follower, but he'll ask me for picks, and so I gave him the Montreal over in that Edmonton game, and he says, well, no, it was in several games. No, the Ducks game was a big one for me, and he says, dude, why aren't we just betting the over in every single Montreal? And he knows like nothing about hockey. He's like, you could just find a few teams and just bet the over. And it's funny because you mentioned, Ian, Columbus and Montreal being over teams, but it's not because they're doing the scoring. You know what I mean? Like it's not because they're the ones getting involved scoring wise. So I found that kind of interesting because it's not like they're even really the ones contributing to that. I wanted to bring up a cool stat to you guys that I found. I thought it was pretty cool. It's to do with puck line wagering, and you guys know that I've vented a little bit about how past years I haven't had the best luck with puck lines, but it's sort of changed this year a little bit. So $100 better only taking NHL puck line favorites since November 13th is up $5,000. So we always talk about bankroll management and, working with so many different people and interacting with so many people on Twitter. We could all say to each other, well, my limit is minus 150, minus one, whatever. Right. And you guys are, we're all, very non-confrontational people who, you guys everybody has their own opinions, right? The funny thing is some people will say, well, I won't go any higher than this. The good news is right now, if you're betting these favorites above minus 180 right now, they're cashing in. But if you're betting those, this stat tells us that we should just be taking the puck lines on them. You're up $5,000 if you're betting puck line favorites since November 13th. That's pretty incredible.
So yeah, that's every favorite then minus 1.5 goals since that date. You're profitable by that amount. That is, I didn't think it was like that. I thought for early in the year, especially, that the puck line favorites were falling short, in a lot of instances. But obviously things have changed a little bit, and we saw evidence of that. Obviously Saturday there were a few of those. Edmonton stands out. Puck line got there. Toronto, after a bad start against Detroit, the puck line got there. So definitely some recent evidence that puck line wagers have been doing much better here on the favorites. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. There's certainly a lot of big favorites tonight. Is that a foreshadowing for Andrew that maybe he's looking at some puck lines with favorites tonight? We'll have to wait and see. There is a potential for one in the first game here on this Monday card. The Florida Panthers taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. We've got Florida minus 290 road favorites, 6.5 the total across the board. And you'll see on the screen, we're going to start doing this now. When we're talking about a game, we'll display what game it is, the line at the time. We know we've had people in the YouTube comments saying, Ian, where's the timestamps? Where's the games that you're talking about on the screen at the time. So here you go. We're going to get more graphics going, in the next couple of weeks. We'll put some fancy graphics in, but at least if you're watching this show on YouTube, not live, but archived, you'll at least know at the time you're, scrolling across, the portions of the show, you'll know which game we're talking about at the time. Based on the graphics. So Panthers and Jackets, minus 290 Florida, 6.5 the total here in this game. When you look at it here, the Panthers now back on the road where, they've been a little bit more susceptible. They haven't been nearly as dominant, obviously, as they've been at home. It's amazing. They go back home to Florida after the road trip where, they did lose a couple. On that road trip, they lost to Calgary, they lost to Seattle, but they did beat Edmonton, Vancouver, and Winnipeg as well. They still had a decent road trip, winning road trip, 3-2. But they go back home and they beat Vegas and San Jose. Great comeback against San Jose. That game didn't start well for the Panthers, but they rallied to come back and win that game. We're relentless was the quote from Jonathan Huberdeau after the game against San Jose where they came back. And I wouldn't disagree with that. They are relentless, and it's easy to be relentless when you can put the puck in the net and outscore your problems and outscore your deficits. And Florida can obviously do that quite a bit. Huberdeau's been magnificent this year, 42 points. Right now for Huberdeau in the last 24 games. Outstanding stuff from him. Alexander Barkov, not only great defensively, but 5 goals in the last 6 games. So he's really picked it up offensively for Florida. So, it's just a tough team to defend. We know that. They're absolutely loaded up front with what they've got. They've pretty much got most people healthy up front as well, outside of Patrick Hornquist. Sam Bennett, Tippett, Verhaeghe, Duclair, Reinhart, Huberdeau, Barkov. It's just an embarrassment of riches for the Florida Panthers. And on the other side, you got Columbus that can sometimes just be an embarrassment. So it's going to be interesting to see what we get here from the Jackets tonight in this game. Jackets, though, I'll tell you what, they're capable at the offensive end of the ice. We've seen that. They've won 2 games in a row against the Rangers and against the Montreal Canadiens since they had that embarrassing loss at home against the Calgary Flames. We saw the Columbus Blue Jackets bounce back, play a lot better in the last couple games, but it is going to be a tall order here. They're still shaky at the back end. We still see this as a team that's given up a grand total of 12 goals in their last 3 games combined. So they're giving up 4 goals per game. I'm going to just go over the total here. I know this Florida team can be a little bit dicey with their offensive production on the road. It drops off compared to at home. There's no question, at least a little bit. But on the recent road trip, you look who they played. They played Winnipeg. They played Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary. They played pretty much better teams outside of Columbus, better teams on that road trip than Columbus. So I think you're going to see Florida be able to put the puck in the net, and you might see Florida lapse defensively. This kind of reminds me we might see a game similar here to Seattle, Florida. Maybe not Columbus winning like Seattle did that night, but Florida wasn't focused defensively. They weren't sharp. You could see maybe the Jackets at home put a couple of pucks in the net. So I would lean over 6.5 here in this one. And it's just got that feel where if you're Florida, the All-Star break's closing. Are you really, really going to be at your absolute best here on the road against a team that's maybe not going to get you totally fired up and excited, and a Columbus team that's every given night has a chance to be at least offensively capable? So I would actually maybe consider a +1.5, to be quite honest with you, on Columbus in this game. I'd rather have that than anything on Florida. But I like over 6.5 as well. Alex, what do you think here of Florida, Columbus?
Yeah, I mean, these are 2 of the best first period over teams in the league right now. And obviously we're seeing 2s across the board. So this is one I'll jump in game and try to grab at a better price, but we should be able to get that 1.5. You worry at this point that these 2 teams, how quickly will they score against one another because of how well they've done. They got off to hot starts. Like you said, Florida, this could be one of those spots where, like I said, kind of looking ahead to the All-Star break, and being on the road against an inferior team, they get caught, napping a little bit. So, maybe look for a spot Columbus to score first potentially, and then things kind of might change from there. And see if Florida wakes up from it after the first 20 minutes of play.
Yeah, I might actually take that +1.5. I do like the way this sets up. 9-2, they absolutely destroyed Columbus in Florida earlier this month. Just a couple weeks ago, it was 9-2 Panthers. It was just a horrendous game for the Jackets, that's definitely going to be resonating toward them. Now they're going to have to, they're obviously up against it here just because the Panthers are so good. But, we've seen Bjorkstrand, we've seen Lyonnais step up offensively the last few games, Boone Jenner as well. This young kid, by the way, Igor Shinnikov, for the Columbus Blue Jackets. If you want to sprinkle a bargain bin goal score prop on anybody with Columbus tonight, that's the guy right now. He's starting to pick it up. We're starting to see him find the back of the net. There's one of the higher end prospects they've got on this roster at the moment. So Igor Shinnikov right now for the Columbus Blue Jackets might be someone to consider in terms of player prop value at the moment for the Blue Jackets. Andrew, what do you think here with the Panthers and Jackets?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Jackets have scored recently, and they've looked okay recently. But I hate to say it, but look who they've played, right? And it's all about that. It's all about who you've played. Everybody always says you can only play who's in front of you. However, we have to take that into account. And the last time these two teams met, I always say that's kind of something that doesn't really matter too much. But when it's 9-2, it does matter. It's something you think about. And being in the back-to-back, I was saying on last week's show that I don't think back-to-backs are a huge deal, but I think they're a bigger deal for teams that aren't really that good. So if you're looking at a team like Tampa Bay playing a back-to-back, I'm not too worried about it. But a team like Columbus, after a game like yesterday, lighting up the Habs, coming in now, back home, hosting the Panthers here, the amount of goals the Panthers have scored, it's averaging something like 5.2 goals their last 15 games, something crazy like that. It's hard not to look at them right now. Columbus is third last in the league on the season in goals against per game. They're dead last in January in expected goals. Not really a good recipe when you're going up against the Florida Panthers, a team that scores at will. So I really like this game here for the Panthers. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm looking at the puck line for the Florida Panthers here in this one.
All right, Florida -1.5 here in this one, which you can get currently at around -120 in this game against the Jackets. We'll see. It's going to be interesting because Columbus, a great quote from Werenski here. When the crowd starts chanting, "We want 10," and they are one goal away, I don't think there's a more embarrassing feeling that we could possibly have than that. So they remember it, but are they good enough to do something about it? There's a big difference between remembering it, wanting payback, wanting to, just shake off the embarrassment of that 9-2 loss, and then being good enough to really do something about it. And that's the challenge ahead. I think you'll see a spirited Columbus team.
Yes. Well, and that's really them. But do you agree that if Columbus wasn't on the road and they were just at home waiting for Florida, it's a bigger deal than if the fact that they just played at the Bell Center and then now they're, you know what I mean? Now they're going back home waiting for Florida. I think that's definitely a factor. I wanted to ask your opinion, Ian, on Sam Bennett here. Been playing real well. Great hockey for him recently. And we talk about the depth of this Panthers team. Huberdeau's tearing it up. But I talk a lot about, the power play guys are huge for the prop betting market. But if you're not on PP1 or PP2, every prop that you're involved in is way better odds. And Sam Bennett's not out there. So I think it's really good odds for Sam Bennett to score a goal or even just to get a point.
Yeah, Sam Bennett's definitely been one of those players that I've been looking toward with props for a lot. I mean, this is a terrific run that he's put together. You look at the games he's played, he has scored at least one goal for the Florida Panthers in 8 of the last 9 games. Only the Seattle game did he fail to score a goal. And he's had points in all those games as well, except that Seattle game. So he's been a points machine. He's been a goal-scoring machine for the Florida Panthers. So, I would not say to anyone, do not bet Sam Bennett right now to score a goal. He has got it going. Goals in 8 of the last 9 for the Florida Panthers. I believe we have Jimmy with us via audio today on the Monday show. Jimmy, if you can hear me, welcome in. And what do you think here, Florida Columbus?
Oh, we had him.
We did? Maybe we don't now. You're right.
I think that we heard the maps on his. I think he tried to turn it off, but I don't know if we.
You guys got me?
We got you now. There he is.
All right. Good. Hey, I'll keep it quick here, guys, because I am on the Mass Pike heading towards Boston to do some sledding with the daughter. But What I will say about this game is I like this spot for Columbus. I agree with you, Andrew. Like, it's not a team I'd like to take generally on a back-to-back. It's not a team I like to take in general, period. But I just think right now, Columbus doesn't have much going for them except that revenge factor in the back of their head. And sometimes that is a big factor. And I think Ian's right. I think Florida's looking ahead right now. They're already got their minds on, some of them might be going to Cabo, some are going to the All-Star game, some are just going home. There's a lot of games like that you got to watch out for as you approach the All-Star break where people's minds have just sailed already. So I'm going to take the underdog in this. Give me the Columbus Blue Jackets and give me the over in this.
Well, that's money line. You're taking the money line. See, I'm just being safer with plus 1.5. Wow. You're taking the money line too. Wow. Plus 260. A big number with the Columbus
Maybe
Blue
I'm
Jackets.
cocky because I took the Bengals. So there you go.
Lightning will strike twice maybe for Jimmy. We'll see with the underdog magic here. Yeah, I don't love the back-to-back. That's true. It's a rest advantage for Florida. By the way, if you're liking the over as well, which I think a lot of us are, the Seagulls tonight, Columbus is 5-0 to the over on the second of back-to-back games this year. So they've been over the total in every single game. And it looks like in terms of goaltending here tonight, Bobrovsky, now look, Bobrovsky against his former team, that's another thing that is a plus for Florida, wants to beat his old mates. And Merzlikins will likely be in net here for Columbus tonight. So it'll be interesting to see how this one goes between these two teams. All right, next game on the the Monday slate, we've got the Anaheim Ducks taking on the Detroit Red Wings. Anaheim minus pretty much even money, actually, both sides, 5.5 the total in this game. When I look at it here with the Ducks, this is a tricky spot. They've been on the road for a very long time. If you watch that game on Hockey Day in Canada against Ottawa, Anaheim won the final score. Based on the final score, they didn't win much else. I mean, that was all Ottawa, essentially, and that was the John Gibson show, essentially stealing 2 points for the Anaheim Ducks. It was a better fate deserved for the Ottawa Senators in that game. And you look at this road trip here for Anaheim, it's been a long one. It started in Boston last Monday, where they beat the Boston Bruins 5-3, and then they went to Toronto and lost in a shootout 4-3 to the Leafs. Another game that they only got a point because of Gibson. They got badly outplayed in that one. 5-4 win over Montreal. Hell, you could argue they got outshot and outplayed in that one and kind of hung on for the victory, believe it or not, against Montreal in that game, 5-4, and then totally outplayed and outshot, outchanced. They didn't have the puck very much. 45-20 shot advantage for Ottawa, but Anaheim getting the 2-1 victory in that game on Saturday afternoon. I like Detroit here. I like the way it sets up for them from a spot perspective. I like the way they play at home. I like the effort they gave you against Toronto on Saturday night. Obviously, it fell apart for them in the third period, but 7-4 loss. But they played two pretty solid periods. They're starting to score again, which is good to see. They upset Pittsburgh in a shootout by a score of 3-2. On Friday night against, all of a sudden, the Penguins kind of looking ahead to the All-Star break because they've lost a few in a row now against lesser teams at home, this Pittsburgh team. But still give Detroit credit for the way they've played. Dylan Larkin's just terrific right now. There's another one. I'm not going to say, don't bet Dylan Larkin to score at the moment. I would not say that for him whatsoever. 5 goals in the last 3 games for him. The captain of the Red Wings has been absolutely terrific as of late. In fact, the last 6 games, he's got 6 goals in the last 5 games combined for the Red Wings. So I think it's a good spot. I think there's a tired Anaheim team. They've been winning games with smoke and mirrors because Gibson's bailed them out against Ottawa. Really only in the game because of Gibson against Toronto. Just a road trip where they've actually really had the play taken to them, and now they're tired. This is the very last game of this road trip for Anaheim. And then this is also their final game before the All-Star break, too, for the Ducks. Whereas Detroit, they've still got one more game to play Wednesday night at home against L.A. So here we go. This is that angle. Final game before the break. Your head's looking forward to getting the time off. It's the end of this road trip. I could see this being this is not a spot at all I want Anaheim. So I like Detroit. Even money. Alex, what do you think here? Ducks and Red Wings.
For most of those same reasons, I like the over 5.5 here. I think that's a great number for, like I said, this could be an Anaheim team that's already kind of put themselves on vacation, and the Detroit team, which we can't trust the Delkovic right now, the way he's played as of late. He's the confirmed starter for Detroit. So this definitely feels like it could be a game where we see some goals back and forth. I don't know if they'll be early, so I'm not going to touch the first period over, but I think we'll see enough over 60 minutes to get that 5.5 in.
All right, there we go. So over 5. I wouldn't argue with that. Could be sloppy. Wouldn't be a total shock to see that. no question, with this being the total end of the road trip here for the Anaheim Ducks. By the way, 2 straight meetings have gone over the total as well between the Ducks and the Red Wings, including the earlier meeting this season in a shootout. Anaheim was victorious 4-3 earlier this month in a shootout at home against Detroit, and that game went over the total. So, yeah, I have no argument with Alex's thought there that this game could get over that 5.5. Andrew, what do you think here, Anaheim-Detroit?
Yeah, it's funny. It's interesting because the spot screams Detroit, right? The spot absolutely screams Detroit. We're talking about the All-Star game coming up, East Coast road trip where Anaheim has certainly seen success. And they're still on the East Coast. They're waiting for this game against Detroit. Detroit's at home. They've just played 2 tough teams with Toronto and Pittsburgh. And, I think that it's one of those things where for Anaheim right now, if you like them and like the way they've been playing, I personally think that this is a value spot with the Ducks. I mean, that you're getting Pick'em here with a team that overall has played much better hockey as a whole. But I think the spot screams the Wings, and that's why we're getting a Pick'em price here. So look, I like the 5.5 as towards the over if it was to play this game, because as you guys know, I've been looking towards that quite often, whether it's a East Coast team, West Coast, or a West Coast team East. Near the end of road trips is something I like to look for, but especially if that's a 5.5 total. Detroit's been, putting the puck at the net quite a bit. Their shot count has been high, but you just can't really trust them defensively. You can't. They turn the puck over. They don't back check. So if I was playing this game, I'd go over 5.5, but I don't know. I slight lean to the Ducks in the money line, but as you can tell, I don't have anything strong on this game. Super interesting spot play though, I think, because with Detroit being at home and Anaheim having a really successful East Coast road trip, maybe they do finish off on a good note. But I just expect sloppiness and I expect goals. And like you mentioned, last time these 2 teams played, last 2 times went over the total as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't talk anyone out of the. I probably will bet that actually as well, the over in this game. It really does make sense. It's been a long road trip, sloppy play. When you're mentally tired, you're physically tired, you're jet lagged, you're all that stuff. That's when the mistakes and miscues and gaffes with the puck increase. And you could see that for Anaheim at the defensive end tonight as a result of this lengthy road trip, 4 games through the East, a week now. And like I say, last game, not only the last game of the All-Star break, but for these guys, they're going to get rest if they're not going to All-Star weekend. They get back to the warm sunshine and warmth of California. That's not a bad thing to get back to either at this time of year. Jimmy, any thoughts from you here with the Ducks and the Red Wings?
It's a Jimmy pass, folks.
There you go, Jimmy.
Don't blame
you, Jimmy. Sweet. And to the point. All right, Edmonton and Ottawa next up. We've got Edmonton minus 200 road favorites here in this game. The total 6.5 pretty much across the board in this one. Oilers and Senators. Look, I'm on Edmonton in regulation here again. I really think this team is picking up some steam right now with their play. They've all of a sudden turned from a dead bet against to, at the moment, a bet on squad. I mean, they're playing better. Evander Kane doesn't wait around in his Oilers debut. He scores their very first goal in that game against Montreal. I've been very impressed here with what I've seen from this Oilers group. You look at them, they've got one more game to go before the All-Star break. So does Ottawa. Ottawa plays tomorrow night against the Islanders. And Ottawa, we know they're always capable. We know they're always willing to give some of these better teams a battle. They took Washington to overtime. They put up a good fight against Pittsburgh recently. And, of course, Anaheim, you could argue in the last game they should have won that game. I thought they played respectably against Carolina, but fell short in that game in a shootout 3-2. But I can't get past the fact that there's still some key cogs out for the Senators at this point in time. When you're talking about Josh Norris, who's going to be out indefinitely with an upper body injury, Drake Batherson, who's not going to be back until very late in the regular season, that's going to add up. And that's the problem I think we have with Ottawa. They had all kinds of chances galore, all kinds of shots on goal and opportunities on John Gibson Saturday afternoon against Anaheim, but they're missing that, steal a soccer term, and I did watch Canada-USA, by the way, yesterday in the soccer. They're lacking that clinical precision right now, Ottawa. They're lacking that finish. They're getting the chances, even the last game without Norris and Batherson, but they're lacking that high-end skill that you need to finish those chances and put it in the net. And that's going to be the concern, I think, for Ottawa moving forward. at this point in time. And like we say, things are trending up for the Oilers. They're starting to score again. Draisaitl's been very good lately. McDavid and Kane showing instant chemistry in the first time for Kane with the Oilers against Montreal the other night. You look at the potential that line has. Say what you will about what he's done off the ice. We're talking about his hockey abilities. Evander Kane is arguably going to be, if not maybe, the best winger he's played with so far, McDavid, and already showing maybe signs of that in that first game. I think Edmonton has enough in them to get the job done here. They've got just a tremendous vibe going at the moment. Ottawa, again, chances galore, but at some point you got to finish, and they're struggling to do that right now, the Senators. So I'm going to go with the Oilers here in regulation, lay a little bit of a lesser price on that, get a better number, obviously, if you go that route. You can find the Oilers closer to -125 or so here in regulation in this game. Alex, what do you think here, Oilers and Senators?
Yeah, that's the only thing I can look at here, too, would be either regulation or team total over. You only land $1.30, $1.35 with that at 3.5. Like I said, this just seems to be like a mismatch. The only thing you worry about is if Edmonton, if they're kind of looking ahead and they lay an egg. I don't think that's the case. I think with them having this winning streak, they would want to continue that rolling here against an Ottawa team that they're far superior than. So I would only look at Edmonton here. It's not an official play for me, but like I said, regulation, team total over, those things make sense.
All right, there we go. So just a couple of leans here for Alex when it comes to this game. Koskinen, of course, 3-game win streak all of a sudden for Koskinen, in which he has a 2.22 goals against and .933 save percentage in his last 3 starts. So suddenly Mikko Koskinen is finding a little bit of his footing as well. Matt Murray, by the way, will get the start in net for Ottawa. And Murray is a lot like Forsberg, Gustafsson, and any other goalie Ottawa's had in net this year. One night they could look terrific, and one night they're just absolutely awful. So it's really it's the old proverbial Forrest Gump box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get often from Matt Murray. Andrew, Oilers and Sens.
Yeah, I think that I opened up with that stat kind of for a reason, and Ian kind of called it. It's one of those nights where I believe it's going to be chalky. And I'll tell you what, guys, I don't do this that often, but looking at the sponsored book from the Hockey Podcast Network right now, DraftKings, and there's a few props that I've played. One prop you guys might find kind of interesting. Even though Evander Kane's kind of a shoot first guy, I'm looking at Evander Kane. I've locked this in to get an assist tonight, over 0.5 assists. That's +150. I also locked in Leon Draisaitl over 1.5 points, not just a point, 1.5 points, +130. And then I'm on the regulation line for the Edmonton Oilers here. I mean, what's very cool about the fact that Kane is now on this team is that it separates everybody a lot more. People want to talk about all the off-ice stuff here. I don't care about that when I'm making my wagers, like you said, Ian. And the cool thing is that he's kind of like I wouldn't, not exact comparison, but he's kind of like a Tom Wilson, where he's a tougher guy, but he plays big minutes and he plays up there in the top lines. And people will forget when he played for San Jose that last season, he had one of his best seasons he's had in years. This is a guy that's, reached the 40 goal mark at one point in his career. I mean, this is a guy that can score. I don't know about you guys. Did you see the smile that McDavid had after Kane's goal? He was happy. It wasn't just Kane that was happy. It was like McDavid was like, thank God, like, here we go. I got somebody else now. So even though Kane is the pass first guy, he's playing on a line with McDavid and Yamamoto. So if I can get a point, an assist from him at +150, that's why I find these assist props so cool at DraftKings, because a lot of books will just give you either points, goals, or that's it. But DraftKings gives you the assist option, which kind of takes everything away from that. If he scores a goal, obviously I don't win the bet. But if he sets up McDavid does something crazy and scores, we cash, at +150. So I think that's pretty good price for anybody to get an assist. Playing on a line with Connor McDavid at +150, to me, it has to be a play. So just a few wagers I've locked in there, though, guys. But I find that super interesting for the player points, too. Take a look at the player points. Brady Tkachuk over 0.5 -190. You've got Puljujarvi over 0.5 points -120. And then Draisaitl over 1.5 points +130. McDavid over 1.5 points is minus 115. They scored 7 goals against the Montreal Canadiens. Guess how many points McDavid had? 0.
Yep.
And that's a huge thing for the Oilers, for them to have 7
huge
goals.
Positive. Yep.
And not one of those goals McDavid had a point in. So just a few things to look out for tonight. But guys, looking forward to hopefully coming on the show tomorrow and being happy about cashing a few of these props.
Yeah, definitely. Someone to look for, too, for the Oilers on their blue line, because of Barrie being out, he's moved into a number 1 power play role from the blue line, shooting the puck as a result a lot more, is Evan Bouchard for the Edmonton Oilers as well. This is someone to keep an eye on. You look at the last 5 games. Now, oddly enough, he had an assist on the Evander Kane deflection goal against Montreal, but he didn't have any shots on goal, believe it or not, that night. But prior to that, he had 3 shots or more in 4 consecutive games and 4 shots on goal in 3 of those games. So Evan Bouchard for the Edmonton Oilers right now, to sprinkle on, to score a point, score a goal, shots on goal, all of those kind of things, definitely keep an eye on that. Something to consider as well for props tonight, maybe Evan Bouchard as well for the Oilers. Again, getting that power play role and that top pairing role now on defense for the Edmonton Oilers with Tyson Barrie still on IR. Jimmy, what do you think here, Edmonton, Ottawa?
Well, I think Andrew makes some great points about the effect that, Kane can have on that lineup. And look, I want Kane to get his life together as much as anyone. I believe in second chances, even though he's on his 21st chance. But, I'm not cheering against him. I know I'm not cheering against him. And I think, if he can keep his head on straight, he's going to help that team. And that may go down as the biggest pickup that any team makes before the NHL trade deadline. And they got him essentially for free. So, good on him if he can keep it going here. And McDavid was psyched because, like Andrew said, he finally got a threat on his wing there. And, with that, that's going to open him up because now people have to worry about something else than McDavid. And, you mentioned there that they held McDavid to no points there. And it was so comical to hear Dom Ducharme, the coach of the Canadiens, try to rally it up and say that was some kind of huge victory that he held McDavid pointless. But, in the past, it has been. The problem is there's other players on the Oilers other than McDavid. And there's this one guy named Draisaitl that apparently Ducharme forgot about. But, look, I look at that line right now, and I love that prop. I'm going to jump on that with you, Andrew, and take the assist for Kane. But another one that I would look at, and you'd probably get some great value on it because nobody's talking about him, and he might be the guy that nobody pays attention to is Yamamoto. That's the guy on the other wing there. He's probably going to be open a lot right now for shots. So not only would I jump on him for a goal prop, but you might want to look at, shots on goal as well because he's going to free up, man. Everybody else is going to be looking at Kane and McDavid, and he's just going to be left there for the pickings. And I think he's a guy to watch in the coming weeks as that line starts to gain chemistry. So I'm going to jump on those props, and then also taking the Oilers on the puck line.
All right, also jumping on the Oilers puck line here, Jimmy, in this one, -1.5, plus 125 for Edmonton on the puck line. And by the way, Yamamoto, that first game with that new top line of McDavid, Kane, and Yamamoto. Yamamoto had just 1 shot on goal, the 1 point in that game, but just 1 game sample size. You can't overreact to it. You definitely want to see what happens tonight and moving forward with this new look top line with him on it for the Edmonton Oilers alongside, of course, McDavid and Kane. All right, Vancouver and Chicago. We've got Chicago -120, home favorites here, slight home favorites in this game. The total 5.5, pretty much across the board here in this one. The Chicago Blackhawks, just a hodgepodge of results from them, essentially. But a lot of it not good lately. 1-5 in the last 6 games. The only victory was that crazy game with the old Central Division rivalry game last week against Detroit, 8-5 win for Chicago. But outside of that, the wins have been few and far between. Losses to the Kraken, the Wild twice in back-to-back games, and then 2 to Colorado. So last 4 losses have been to 2 of the better teams in the Western Conference. But definitely it's been a struggle here for Chicago. You look at this Vancouver team. They only got a point in that last game against Calgary Saturday night because of Thatcher Demko. It was a complete and utter outplaying by the Calgary Flames over Vancouver, 32-15 in terms of shots on goal. Johnny Gaudreau with the only goal of the game in overtime. and it ended up being a overtime victory here for the Canucks. The Canucks all of a sudden just 3-7 in their last 10 games. So all of a sudden the hot start under Bruce Boudreau. They've cooled off just a little bit here. The Canucks going into this game tonight against Chicago. Obviously, they've still had a couple of their key cogs out, but they just did get Bo Horvat back, which was significant and obviously will help them quite a bit. Still without a couple defensemen, Cal Burrows, Tucker Poolman, Hamonic as well. Tanner Pearson still on IR. For Chicago, it's basically the guys that have been out for a while are still out. Jujhar Khaira still out. Tyler Johnson still out. Of course, Jonathan Taves as well out right now still for the Chicago Blackhawks. I think at this point in time, with the team just wasn't thrilled with the lack of thrust they had. They just didn't have the puck very much. They certainly didn't generate much in the way of scoring chances. It's probably a nice little bounce back spot here for Vancouver, to be quite honest with you, in this game. I definitely do like them here at a plus 100 even money price here on the road tonight against the Blackhawks. Alex, so what do you think here, Vancouver, Chicago?
I'm looking at the draw here potentially. I think these are two teams. Obviously, like I said, have been losing as of late, and with the Hawks, like I said, just very inconsistent up and down. Even though yes, some of playing at Colorado is always tough, but they go period by period. Sometimes they have great first period, then they have a horrible second period, then they're not doing enough to get an offense rolling in the third. It's just a hodgepodge right now. Fleury getting the start again. You wonder how much is he going to start wearing down a bit. Granted, they'll run him probably tonight and maybe even that last game on Wednesday against Minnesota before the All-Star break. But I can see where this would probably would go over this total of 5.5, and I wouldn't be shocked to see it tied at 3 after 60 minutes. So I'm going to go with the draw plus 310.
There you go. Plus 310 on the draw for Alex with Vancouver and Chicago. Yeah, it will be Jaro Halak, by the way, his first start of the year for the Vancouver, of the calendar year, I should say. He hasn't started in January. Of course, he's been out for a while, finally off the protocol list and finally ready to start here tonight for the Canucks. Bruce Boudreau giving him, he needs some work. So he's going to give him the start tonight. His last start was a good one against LA and back on December 30th. 1 goal on 35 shots. So it was one of the better starts of the year for Yaroslav Halak. We'll see if he can play well tonight. He's been out for a while. You never know. It's always dicey with these goalies when they've been out of action for this long a period of time. But we'll see how it goes for Halak tonight. Andrew, what do you think here, Vancouver, Chicago?
It's an interesting game because I'll be honest, I don't want to bet Vancouver without Demko. I don't. I just don't want to bet on them, and if Demko is not between the pipes. And realistically, as much as the Vancouver Canucks have kind of been I hate to use this term, but kind of like a public team right now. People are loving this bandwagon since Boudreau took over. I don't really know about this spot for them. I don't love the odds as far as Chicago goes. I don't really want to lay a price with them that often. But yeah, with Halak in, I think Fleury, to me, people are kind of giving him a hard time, saying there's like personal things or because the trade rumors. I don't know. I just think that it's such a common thing for people to rip goalies when teams aren't playing well. I mean, let's slap Samuel Montembeault on the Tampa Bay Lightning or Colorado Avalanche tomorrow and see how his win percentage turns into. Like, it's the biggest bullshit thing that you hear from people. Like, this guy's having a bad season. Okay, well, look who he plays for. You know what I mean? So I don't think Fleury's been that bad. And like, I actually, even though it's Halak, my initial gut lean was the under in this game. And I'm going to still recommend that. That would still be the play I'd look for. And I've talked about Vancouver wanting to play shutdown and play lower scoring. And I think Chicago's capable of doing it. That's almost when they've been at their best, I think, is when they get a couple, a goal from Kaner and DeBrincat gets alive, and then all of a sudden they lock things down. So I think this one could sneak under 5.5, and it seems like the money is on the over, so it's a decent price towards the under, actually.
Vancouver Canucks have had some good recent success I'm seeing in Chicago. I mean, earlier this year, Chicago won in Vancouver. It was 1-0, a shutout win. Fleury was in that game, and of course, he'll start tonight. 40 saves he made in that win against Vancouver earlier this year. So very impressive. And look, it's not been good for Fleury. What's he on? A 1-4 run, 3.76 goals against average in his last 5 games. But there's no question part of that is the team in front of him. It's not all on Marc-Andre Fleury in terms of that recent 1-4 slide in his last 5 starts in net for the Blackhawks. Jimmy, what do you think here? Vancouver, Chicago.
Yeah, I'll make it quick, guys, because my reception's been going in and out here. But just, you brought up all the shots on goal against there in their last game against Vancouver there. So I would take the Chicago over the shot total as a team in this, because I think we're going to see that again right now. It's kind of been a bend, don't break approach for the Vancouver Canucks lately. So I think we see a lot of shots get poured on net there. I'm going to lean away. It might be a game I jump in game to do something with the over under the side. But for now, that would be my only bet, would be that prop.
And of course, a reminder, you'll be able to see us all jump in on stuff in-game tomorrow night on the live Betcast, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Again, DM any one of us if you want an invite to the live stream, the live Betcast. We'll send one to you tomorrow night for this 11 games, I believe, on the Tuesday card tomorrow night. I mean, this is going to be by far the most games we've ever had on a night. For a Betcast, because we've never done one in the regular season till now. They were always playoff Betcasts. So we're looking forward to that tomorrow night, the first regular season Ice Guys Live Betcast, Tuesday night, February 1st, starting at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. We're also looking forward to the Super Bowl. It is now official. And DraftKings Sportsbook certainly can help you make some money with that. The moment we've been waiting for, it's here. In honor of the big game, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56, is giving new customers 56-1 odds on either team, the Rams or the Bengals. Bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. Reminder that DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in New York State, meaning you can bet from almost a third of the country. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state, you can still play for DraftKings daily fantasy football contest for Super Bowl 56. New customers can get a free shot at a $1 million top prize with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use promo code THPN, and get 56-1 odds on either team. Bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56. Must be 21 years of age or older. Minimum age and location requirements vary by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full list of requirements and state-specific responsible gaming resources. Void where prohibited. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Tennessee, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Or visit ccpg.org/chat. In New York, call 877-8-HOP-ENY or text HOPENY 467-369. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up for an account, use that promo code THPN. All right, final game of this Monday card, New Jersey Devils, Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto minus 340, 6 the total, 6.5 in some spots. So Sheldon Keefe, interesting experiment. He's been like a mad scientist the last week for this Leafs team. He decides for the first time ever to put Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and William Nylander on separate lines. One on the first line, one on the second line, one on the third line. He did that against Anaheim. They won the game. They dominated. They actually controlled the play throughout. It looked like, wow, this experiment looks pretty good. So he stuck with it against Detroit on Saturday night. Didn't go quite as well because they were down 4-2 after the first two periods. So all of a sudden, third period comes around. They're down 2 the other night, and he goes back to some old lines and now puts them together again and puts an end, at least temporarily, to having Matthews, Marner, and Nylander on separate lines. And sure enough, third period, they rally. They beat Detroit. So that's what I like about Keefe. Mike Babcock, for so many years with that Leafs team, just kept things stagnant, kept things the same, wouldn't make little changes in game when things weren't going well. Keefe did that Saturday night, and look at it, turned around the Detroit team, plus the Detroit game in the third period, plus the fact that, hey, you don't want to be losing to this team. They played on a back-to-back. We should be the rested team here in the third period, and they took it to the Red Wings and turned that game around completely. 5-0 in the third period for the Leafs, turning that 4-2 deficit into a 7-4 win. This power play is just insane right now for the Leafs, and remember, for the longest time, what's wrong with this power play? How did they have this great collection of forwards and talent and not have a good power play for the longest time? Well, they have a good power play right now. They are absolutely rolling. The puck movement, nobody's staying stationary. They're moving bodies around in the offensive zone. The puck movement's been great. This Leaf power play, the last 5 games, they have scored 6 power play goals in the last 5 games. Just terrific efficiency and execution with the man advantage. Now they're playing a Devils team that, for the most part has had defensive issues, for the most part has had goaltending problems. They are still in a situation, New Jersey, going into this game tonight, where they are without, a couple of their key goalies going into this game. We talk about Mackenzie Blackwood has been out for a long period of time. We talk about Jonathan Bernier still on IR as well. And we've got Akira Schmid in net for the New Jersey Devils. And if anybody saw him against Dallas in his last start, hideous, not good for Akira Schmid in that game for the New Jersey Devils, making his first appearance since getting shelled in that game. 3 goals on 7 shots. He got pulled. Before that, he gave up 5 goals on 30 shots December 18th in a start against the Detroit Red Wings. It's been ugly. I mean, 5 goals against, an .824 save percentage at the NHL level this year for Akira Schmid's not good. So on Saturday night with Toronto-Detroit, on this Saturday show, I did a double up. I did Toronto team total over, and I did the full game over in that game. Both of them cashed. I'm doing the same thing tonight. Toronto team total over 3.5. Now, I got to lay a little price here, -160, -165, but I'm going to do it because I think there's a great chance they get to 4 goals tonight. They're feeling it offensively. I don't trust this kid or the blue line in front of them right now for New Jersey, but I think the Devils can chip in as well in this game, and we'll get over the 6 for the full game total as well. So Leafs team total over 3.5 and full game over 6, -120 for me. Alex, Devils and Leafs.
Yeah, I'm going to go with this is actually my best bet as well, but I'm going to take Toronto on the puck line in the first period, getting plus $1, $1.05. I think they'll be able to get, like I said, their offense rolling now again against Schmid, who's just doesn't seem to be an NHL level goalie right now. He said he struggled mightily in that last start against Dallas. I wouldn't be shocked to see kind of more of the same here with Toronto. Like I said, diversifying that lineup now, getting that offense rolling on multiple lines. That's a huge boost for them. So I think they'll take advantage of that early and come out of that first period with a lead.
Yeah, Mitch Marner, shots on goal and to score tonight. No reservations with that at all. None at all. He's shooting more. They've wanted him to shoot more. He actually is shooting more now and actually looking to find the back of the net. And his offensive confidence is coming back in terms of scoring. We know he's the playmaker, great passing, great vision, all that, but he's got that goal scoring ability right now. Alex has to run. Of course, he's getting prepared for his Denver trip. So just before you go, Alex, we'll let you go in a second or two. Just reiterate, best bet for tonight.
Yeah, like I said, Toronto Maple Leafs first period puck lines to lay and a half a goal at plus $1.05 is the best available price I'm seeing right now. Like I said, that offense is just rolling really hot. And New Jersey, their goaltending is suspect to say the least. So we should see them get out to a lead after 20 minutes. Maple Leafs first period puck line is my best bet.
There you go. Toronto -0.5 in the first period, plus 105. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Alex, we'll let you run. Good to see you.
We'll see you tomorrow. And then I'll be on for the Betcast early around the first period time. Like I said, getting ready to travel. But I'll be there for the first period of most of the early start. So I can't wait for
awesome stuff. All right, Alex. We'll see you tomorrow, my friend.
See you guys. Later.
There he is, Alex B. Smith, here on the Ice Guys show. All right, Andrew, what do you like here, New Jersey, Toronto?
I like Mitch Marner over 2.5 shots at -110. You just touched on it there. I know it's kind of it's really what have you done for me lately? Because I was just looking at his RotoWire before we started this on RotoWire before we started this show, and it's 5-6, then 1-4-2, 1-2, and didn't play for a little while, then 1-2, 0-2. Point being is his shots on goal are just starting to pick up, and if you've learned anything from what Ian does with his goal scoring props that he does well on, it's got to be what have you done for me lately with prop betting. And you can get at DraftKings right now, Matthews over 4.5 shots at like plus 120 or something. That's a lot of shots. I mean, Matthews could have 2 goals and still only have 3 shots and not get you there, So I think Marner's a great play. I wanted to say this, Ian, and I'm not trying to just be Mr. Chalk today, but it depends on where you shop around. If you look at DraftKings right now and you're taking a look at the NHL betting board, if you parlay on the money line, the Florida Panthers, the Edmonton Oilers, and the Maple Leafs, you get plus 160. Some might say maybe that's not worth it. Throw in a regulation on the Oilers, throw in a puck line on. I mean, we're not trying to sit here every day on the show and advocate for parlays. I've been parlaying actually players to get points, but I got to think that I think the Panthers are going to beat the Jackets. I think the Oilers are going to beat down the Senators. And then we just need the Leafs to finish off this. I don't know. I think if you're a money line player, just wanted to bring that to the attention. Plus 160, 165 for those three teams. I'll probably be tying the Leafs in into some way, shape, or form. I wanted to look at some props with them, but I just have a feeling tonight is where the big guns get going. Matthews, a couple games with him without a goal, so he's like minus 130 to score a goal. Can't be doing that. So that's kind of what I'll do, to be honest with you. I'll probably end up making some type of parlay with the Leafs and involved with some of those other favorites.
All right, there we go. And again, that's Florida, Edmonton, Toronto. Three-team money line parlay plus 160.
If you do, this is at DraftKings. If you do the puck line with the Oilers and the Leafs money line plus 197, that's pretty good. That's pretty good stuff right there. So
I got to admit, the one I'm worried about in that three teams is Florida against that Columbus team that's pretty damn pissed off with that 9-2 loss, and hearing the crowd chanting, "We want 10 goals, we want 10 goals." So that's the one I'd be frightened about. But they are still better than Columbus. They could surely still win that game, but I think they're getting one hell of an effort tonight, Florida, from that Columbus team, even with them on a back-to-back. We'll see, but you can't argue the odds and the prices. Plus 160 for those three teams is pretty solid for a three-team bigger favorite money line parlay like that. Jimmy, what do you like here? New Jersey, Toronto.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on with you. I'm going to dovetail you, Ian, jump on your back there and take that team total over for Toronto and the over total in the game as well. And I like that too with Mitch Marner, guys. I mean, I don't know who wrote the story, so I apologize for not being able to credit the writer. But it was a great story. I think it might have been on TSN, just about how Mitch Marner has really changed his mental approach to the game, and he's not being as hard on himself right now. And it's showing on the ice, like you guys said. I mean, he's definitely shooting with more confidence. He's skating with more confidence, and he was just always one of those guys who, things would be going great for a few games, but if it turned the other way, then it went bad for a few games and sometimes longer for him. I think he's taking more of a even-keeled approach right now, and he's definitely a player to watch going forward.
Yep, no question about that. Absolutely. Definitely a guy that's getting his confidence, I think he's finally hearing people and realizing and seeing in his own confidence that I don't think he had the confidence before that I can be a goal scorer. I can score goals. I can actually put the puck in the net. I usually leave that to Austin, or I leave that to William, or I leave that to some of my other teammates. But now he's getting that confidence to shoot the puck and find the back of the net and score. And as a result, that's why he is scoring more goals as of late. But the whole team, no doubt. Michael Bunting as well. I mean, he's just feeling it right now. You're right, 5 goals in the last 5 games. He had the hat trick against Detroit. No, and like I said, if I had known or remembered or heard about it or knew about it before the game started, that Michael Bunting was from Scarborough, Ontario, which is where they were doing all those outdoor segments for Hockey Day in Canada on Saturday, I would have bet the goal scorer prop for him because I knew he'd be fired up. His hometown is spotlighted on Hockey Day in Canada. He'd be wanting to put on a good performance, and he sure did. A hat trick for Michael Bunting. He even put the bunt in Bunting for one of those goals. He knocked it out of the air, and it went in the net. So credit to him. Great performance against Detroit on Saturday night. And a great performance by my colleagues here, Andrew, Alex, and Jimmy, a great Ice Guys show. Yeah, Andrew, you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say, and I'm sure all of you guys would agree with this, and especially Jimmy being a reporter, that just proves that those guys get up for more games than others. I hate when people say they don't, because it's just, these guys are humans like us. He literally said, it's Scarborough. I'm proud of where I'm from. I mean, that should be like the case closed statement that players get up for some games more than others. Any thoughts there, Jamie?
Yeah, they totally do. And I mean, as Ian was talking about that, I mean, I just think back, like, when I was growing up, I didn't watch, I confess, it wasn't available as much back in those days because I'm so old, but I didn't get to watch Hockey Night in Canada as much, and as it was made more available and I started to learn more about it, and just see the thrill when those guys in the intermissions or the post-game shows, they get that white Hockey Night in Canada towel put around them. Those guys keep those. I mean, I know a lot of players that have those hanging in their home, their home basements and their home bars or whatever. They frame them. That's a big thing to those guys up there. You guys know that. And they for sure get up for certain games, and don't ever disregard, the pride factor or the emotional factor of sports. I just think you're being stupid if you do that.
I agree. I mean, there's always in any sport, regardless of what the player actually says, there's some games that just mean a little more to him in his heart, in his gut, emotionally than some other games. And you certainly see that sometimes come to fruition, no question. Great stuff with Andrew, with Alex, and with Jimmy. We'll wrap things up with best bets for this Monday edition of the show. Andrew, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Best bet, I'll go Edmonton puck line at a pretty good price, I think. Around plus 125 at DraftKings right now. Plus
There
130.
it is. All right, Edmonton Oilers minus 1.5, plus 125 puck line against the Ottawa Senators. Best bet for Andrew McInnis. Jimmy Murphy, what do you got for best bet?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to have to do the same exact thing there. I know I pumped the tires of the Ottawa Senators, man. And look, if they were healthy, I think they'd be making me look a lot smarter right now. But they're not, and they're human. And they seem to be getting maybe to that point where they're a bit demoralized. And this break is definitely going to help them a little to kind of gather their thoughts and recharge for the rest of the season. And when they get healthy again, I will start to look at them as that spoiler team I thought they could be. But for now, I mean, Edmonton's rolling right now. This is a team that's regained their confidence. You don't want to get in front of a freight train like that. So give me the Oilers puck line.
There you go. Same double dip here of best bets. Edmonton puck line for Jimmy as well, minus 1.5, plus 125 against Ottawa. My best bet is we're going to lay a little juice, more than normal, but it's clearly to me the spot that I like the most, and it's Toronto's team total. Over 3.5, minus 160. I mean, they're feeling it offensively, and they didn't even like the way they started that game. I think there is some onus on the start. I know Alex likes Toronto puck line as his best bet first period. I'm going to go with that team total over 3.5. It's minus 160. Like I said, you got to lay a little bit of a price here. I don't usually love the bigger chalk prices for a best bet, but I'm going to make an exception tonight because I do feel very strongly this team gets 4 goals minimum tonight against a very shaky young goalie for New Jersey and a Devils team that against the better squads, look, they're going to have trouble, I think, keeping the puck out of their own net. We've seen that in recent games. I like the full game over 6 as well in that game, but for best bet, Toronto Maple Leafs team total over 3.5, minus 160 for my best bet. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. 209 live viewers. Hit the like button. Make sure you do that on the way out. Subscribe to the channel, of course, the Ice Guys as well, if you haven't done so already. And tell everybody that you know that's an NHL fan, a hockey bettor, to join us here on the channel. Subscribe to the Ice Guys channel. And a reminder, tomorrow we've got our regular show, 2 p.m. Eastern. And then we've got our first live Betcast of the season, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. If you want in on the Betcast stream to join us on the air, everyone will see you. Hang out, grab your beer, grab your shots, whatever it is you want to drink, water even, or anything. Just grab your favorite beverage, whatever it is. We'll be live betting. We'll be watching the games. We'll be commenting on the games. It's really like sitting at a bar, sitting at a pub with a bunch of people watching hockey. That's the vibe we want with the Betcast. It's the vibe we've had in the past, and we're bringing it back tomorrow night, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So join us for that, the Ice Guys live Betcast on Tuesday night, right here on the Ice Guys YouTube channel. That's a wrap for Andrew, for Jimmy, and for Alex. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And by the way, a reminder, the Ice Guys is live Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the podcast when you can't watch the show live. Have a great Monday night, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow on Tuesday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.